Hi, I'm Daniel Sturridge and you're watching Redmen TV.
Welcome to Redmen TV. It's the Uncensored match build-up show. Liverpool face Augsburg again. It's the second leg of the round of 32 in the Europa League. We drew 0-0 away from home and it was scintillating football. All the pressure's on. Aubrey's here, John Machin's here as well to discuss this game. Dad, the first of the two biggest games of the season arrive on Thursday. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, look, it can't be understated. Everyone's looking towards the final.
I wasn't understating it.
I don't know. It can't be. Yeah, you're right. Then you're right. It can't be understated.
It's tricky, isn't it, though? Because he would have hoped he'd have got a decent win away. He could have rested a few players, got a bit of an advantage over City, who were flying off to Kiev and back on Wednesday. Now he's got to find a team that will win at Anfield. Not always an easy thing these days. And walk the tightrope of away goals, because that, all they need is to start scoring and things get really hairy, don't they? And then he's got to have a team fresh and lively to face City. Of all teams, they're really, really terrific on form, City. They haven't been in great form recently, but they play well. They're exceptional, and of course on a pitch like Wembley, so it's a bit of a dilemma for him. But both games you've got to win.
I mean, the thing is, Aubrey, this is what being a football fan and being a football club's all about, is having these moments that test you. You know what I mean? For players, they're supposed to live for these kind of dilemmas, aren't they? Where they've got two massive games that must be won. They need to push themselves to the limits of endurance, etc., etc., etc. I guess we've probably just got too many years of being told that you can't play Thursday, Sunday, and all this kind of stuff. Are we just being too down and dumps? Is there surely no reason why Liverpool can't just go and get a result on Thursday and then go and get a result on Sunday?
No, there's no reason. I would have been a lot more depressed if Sturridge, Coutinho and Origi hadn't been back yet. Yeah. So like we're talking about the West, they all came back for the West Ham replay, didn't they? A game that we played really well and unfortunately we lost. Yeah. And then we've since played in the league and in the Europa League since then. So those three players who are Origi possibly, but definitely Coutinho and Sturridge are key players for us. They've had 3 games now, so they're going to have 4 before the final. I think he'll stick with the first team and Joe possibly sacrifice, get through this, play 2 games in 3 days, and then you can all have the league game after that off or whatever. The rotation will happen after the fact. I think the rotation could be minor for the Augsburg game. I did the starting 11 prediction. I think I said I don't know if Lovren's back or not. Lovren Toure is one. I thought Origi might start instead of possibly Coutinho or Firmino. That's about it. You're looking at Lucas could come in the midfield and that's it. But ultimately, we get told all the time they can't play those games. The biggest one normally, if you look at the actual stats on it, is away in Europa League really suffers on a Sunday. Yeah. But not today that's where the draw did help us. We're at home. They've got to go all the way to to the Ukraine and play on the Wednesday, which is a lot more travelling than what we're doing. Not many of their players played, but as a club, they played in the FA Cup. We had that break. So you'd hope that they would listen to what Klopp said, whether he 100% believes it or not, and say, it's a cup final, you should be able to play on the Friday after a Thursday game.
I think this is it. I think we're in danger of skipping over this game and talking a bit too much about the final. But, I mean, that Klopp said the other week himself, is that finals are finals. You can go for them in isolation. So we need to focus on the game at hand.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't a cup final, playing 90 minutes of football twice in 4 days, fit young men who probably never fitter in their whole bloody lives than they are, in the middle of a Premier League season. What the interesting thing for me is more about how you prepare for each game, and tactically set yourself up. And he's already sort of hinted that he's worked on both teams, which suggests that there will be some differences, but if only slight.
That's it. I don't think it's necessarily the fitness that becomes the issue, isn't it? Because, like you say, the professional athletes, and they are athletes, aren't they? You know what I mean? It's more the game time to plan. You know, when we had that really good year under Brendan Rodgers, and we weren't in Europe, we had 5 days, 6 days to recover one day, then to analyse and only work on one match. And that's when you see
We did a Leicester before it was a Leicester.
Yeah, but it's true, isn't it? You see teams who have those surprising years, like Ipswich. I remember years ago, Ipswich come up to the league, flew, got into the UEFA Cup and got relegated the next year because you suddenly have got to focus on 2 games a season, and your prep time, your tactics time, you're working on the training ground of how to counter. You hope the fact that it's a not strange situation because it happens every time you're in Europe, but it's not that quite situation of the run of games over Christmas where you were playing a different team each time. We played Augsburg last week.
I think that,
the
to be fair,
tactics
like you said, we've been playing 2 games a week for 2.5 months now.
I think the difference, though, is the fact that he's got Sturridge just coming back, and he's got Coutinho just coming back, Origi just coming back. And does he gamble that Sturridge can play 2 games? And does he gamble with Coutinho, who's probably his best player?
Yeah.
And they're the decisions he's going to have to make. But the Augsburg game should be there for the taking. Yeah. And if he goes out and wins it in the first hour, you know.
I think.
Well, here's sorry, Aubrey. The problem we've got is that for the first time, because the question I've got is, do we have the room/quality to rotate? And I think we sort of do, but the problem we've got is that let's take the West Ham FA Cup game as an example, as a model almost for Augsburg, is that we rotated pretty heavily in there. We had the FA Cup team out, we had a young midfield, etc., and they more than held their own against West Ham's first team, but they lost that match. You know, ultimately they lost it in the last minute of extra time, but they lost it. And the question what we'll come back to is that if we'd just gone a little bit more, we could have actually just finished this game off. So are we in a position now where
the first leg, if they'd done that, because they actually totally controlled the first leg, but didn't score the goal.
And this is the thing: is that do you say, because theoretically, a Liverpool team that let's just forget the defence and whatever. Let's put the attacking players that's got, say, Origi up front with Milner, Lallana, and Firmino or Coutinho. Should be good enough to win that game. But if we don't get the goal in the first half and we start to struggle a bit, or if they, heaven forbid, nick a goal, then all the pressure comes on. Then you've got no choice. We've got that. You're stuck with that dilemma of, God, do you just literally go with Sturridge, Coutinho, Firmino, whatever?
You can't really afford to relax until they're 2 goals clear. Yeah. Because, you know, they score a goal or they score 2 goals. You know, it's really problematic for us. And let's not forget, we could have extra time and penalties on Thursday night. Yeah. Does he really want Sturridge to be playing 120 minutes before a cup final? He's got to really go and try and win it in the first hour, I think. I think he's got to go for broke. Yeah. You know.
Cool. So is there anyone, would you rotate at all?
I think like Aubrey, there might be a little bit of tinkering. Lucas might come in possibly, depending on whether he wants him for Sunday or he doesn't, depending on what tactical shape he's going to have against City. And he might alternate, you know, Origi. I don't even know if Lallana's fit or not yet. Yeah. You know, those players, they're always going to be the ones he rotates when he's got everyone fit. Yeah. Because he's got like half a dozen of them. Yeah. Yeah. And he's only got like 2 or 3 spaces, so he's going to, you know, dictate. It's going to be dictated by those constraints. You know, he's not really going to be changing his centre backs and his full backs and the midfield players at this stage, I don't think.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I think that's the only place where I think you could bring a Smith or probably not and actually, but or a Flanagan in, perhaps. In fact, you can't because Flanagan's not registered for Europe. We made this mistake last week, didn't we, Aubrey? Yeah. Not Randall, but you could bring a Smith in as an example.
You could, but what would be the advantage? You know,
just to make Moreno that little bit more fresh for the weekend. You know, because I don't think you lose too much with Brad Smith there. My concern is that if you were to put Milner, Lallana and let's say Lallana's fit. Milner, Lallana, behind Origi is not as good as Coutinho, Firmino, Lallana or Milner, whatever, behind Sturridge.
Yeah.
So that's the look. It's a dilemma. I agree though. I think that there's a bit of doom and gloom that naturally creeps in because there's been no consistency this season, and you don't know whether we're going to be the team that annihilated Southampton, or and City and Chelsea, or we're going to be the team that struggled against Norwich, or we're going to be the team that struggled against Augsburg last week.
If most of those games were away, that's what worries me.
Yeah.
Is that we haven't yet shown the propensity to totally dominate home games and score the goals that would merit.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do on Thursday night. We need to put it to bed.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want it dragging on all for hours and hours.
And I think the good thing about that, though, is, as I say, and I think you were right there, Aubrey, is that probably for the first, we are the most ideally placed for this to kick on. For the first time this season, for the first time under Jurgen Klopp, he's got the vast majority of his players available to him. He does have the ability to put our best side on the pitch, which does... It bodes well. It bodes better than it's boded for a number of weeks anyway.
Yeah, that's it. As your dad's just said then, it's we need to score goals. Like, if we'd have gone and nicked a 1-0 away from home, we could draw this 0-0 and I'd be confident in us putting a team out that could draw a game because we've done it all season. We're chasing goals. 2 weeks ago, not to reiterate the same point I made before, but 2 weeks ago I'd have been worried about that. With the fact that Sturridge has come in, he's scored, he's actually played a couple of games. Coutinho, you know, we had that attacking again against a dire, abject Aston Villa, but they did put them to the sword. They got goals in them. Hopefully, you know, we've got the players there. He could go crazy and he could field Origi, Sturridge and Benteke up front. He won't, but he could because all of them are fit. You know, I mean, for the first time, there's options. It would have been a lot more worrying if we'd have heard that Daniel Sturridge was injured and then Origi was still injured. And you're like, well, is it Firmino playing the false nine or Benteke?
Can I throw a crazy one out there? Benteke. I mean, ultimately, it depends how they're going to approach it. But
to me,
I think Benteke's a great home player. If teams are gonna be defensive, you need something. You know what I mean? Maybe look to be a bit more of a batsman.
I think that's more of a possibility simply because of the Sturridge factor.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be certain that well, you couldn't be certain, but if you want to have a good chance of Sturridge being fit for Sunday, you might well take the view that let's leave him out of this one.
I'd rather
put Benteke in.
I wouldn't even
mix it up.
I'd put them both in. I'd put Benteke and Sturridge in, and that way you can, because Benteke can play 90 minutes because who cares, because he's not going to play at the weekend. And then you can bring Origi in for Sturridge when you want to, if you need to inject a bit more pace or fresh legs into it.
That'll be interesting. Actually, the significant thing is, I mean, you started off by saying that these are two biggest games of the season. These could effectively be our two last games of the season. Yeah. Because if we lose them both, then we've only got the league when we're seventh or eighth and not likely to finish much higher. Yeah. The season's over come Sunday if we don't win.
No, you're absolutely dead right. So we need to make sure we.
And Klopp knows that as well as anyone. So.
Yeah. True. And as you say, it's I don't think we can afford to take either of these lightly, and that is ultimately where all the debate comes from. Is because winning the League Cup would be lovely. And we'll look. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to the final. It's great to go. It's great to go to Wembley and winning piece of silverware. Even though, let's be honest, the League Cup never doesn't rank with the other bits of silverware that you can win. We just need that in the bag. But just a League Cup and finishing 8th in the Premier League is not a good season. It's an above exactly, but it's an above average season. It's slightly better than we've done in a lot of the years in the last 5 or so. But the Europa League, I still think, is the most important competition for us this season.
And it keeps our season alive, because the Capital One Cup's over Sunday, whichever way it goes.
Exactly. And also don't forget, let's go back to 2005. We lost the League Cup final to Chelsea that year, and we went on and won the European Cup, and it's neither's the be-all and end-all. So in some respects, even though it's essential that we get back to winning silverware, and I don't think we should denigrate the importance of, we can't afford to be disrespectful to the League Cup in any way, shape or form at the minute, because we need trophies. I would actually rate this game on Sunday, even though it's not the glamour fixture of being at Wembley and playing Man City. This is the one. If you had to weight them, I would be weighting importance on Augsburg more than I would weight it on Sunday. But that's just just know your opinion. Which for you is the most important of the two games? Let us know in the comments below. Score predictions, Dan?
God, I hope it's not something one. Because that will be really nerve-wracking. I hope we go out and stuff them 3-0.
Chris?
I'm going to say 2-1.
Yeah.
I think we'll go 2-0 up, and then we'll do what we do and concede and scare the hell out of us, but we'll manage just to...
Yeah, I think this game's got 2-1 written all over it. I can't see us doing this easily in any way, shape or form. And the question, therefore, is... Well, I think there's 3 ways it goes. It either goes 0-0 and goes all the way to extra time and pens, and they have like a shot that fires across the keeper's box in the last minute of it, extra time or normal time or whatever, and that's us all shitting ourselves. Or it's the 2 options at 2-1. Either we're 2-0 up and we scored it, or they score first in the first 10 minutes, and we're all going, oh my God, what's going on? And then it all comes together and we get the goal, and maybe we scored it late on, like someone makes themselves, yada, 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 write themselves into folklore.
Well, just typical of us to be in extra time and penalties
right
in
before.
Both games.
Both, yeah.
Oh, God. I would just give them the next week off. You know what I mean? Just
give them the rest of the season.
Just God, yeah. God. No one's back until the next Europa League game, if that was the case.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, let us know your score predictions in the comments below. Any thoughts on anything that we've discussed? Some fantastic content coming up on the website this week. We've got preview, of course, for the cup final, which will be coming out shortly after the conclusion of this game, because fuck it. We've also got some cool top 10s that we've done. Biggest transfer flops of all time, which has caused all kinds of confusion in the comment section because people don't get it. I thought I was clear on the explanation. There's an accompanying blog post on the website, but thanks to the people at, mainly Paul Tompkins, at tompkinstimes.com, we've used the transfer price index to convert all Liverpool's signings of the Premier League into modern money and rate which one was the biggest flop. Some surprises in there, lots of anger in the comments. It's really good. Go and check that out. Anyway, we'll also be doing a League Cup final special, loads of boss stuff. Watch all of it, because you should. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the Redmen TV YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you post Augsburg. We've picked out Liverpool's 10 biggest transfer flops in the Premier League era. Just to clarify one more time before we get stuck in, all the fees presented